Just give it up. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Come on, give it to me. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Come on, give it up. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Hey, yeah. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up.
And the rank. Okay.
Briefing is very simple. We have a very stringent way, not just a selection process, but just a way that I would make sure that every judge that comes in understand that you're not coming in to judge a competition. You're coming here to uphold and to sustain a legacy. That's the first thing that they really have to understand. That the job that they have been hired to do, because my judges are hired to do the job, is to be able to understand, appreciate, love, have passion for, and understand the legacy of this system. And so with that being said, they have to have a passion for the system. They have to have a passion for the art form. They have to have a passion and an understanding and a caringness for people as well. That's what I look for in the individual themselves. When it comes down to selecting the national representative, they have to understand the history in order for them to make a decision for the future. Okay? They have to understand that. And I spend lots and lots of time imparting unto them that history as much as I know. And we really pull upon a lot of the older performers to impart upon them so that they understand that it's more about what we think it is. So that's one of the things we spend hours and hours and hours going over categories and making sure that everybody understands. Now here's the thing, and I heard this earlier, what everybody has to understand. Everybody is going to have a separate opinion of what the interpretation of what that category description is. But as long as you as an entertainer or as a competitor fit whatever it is that you're doing within that description, it's game on to them. And one of the things I mentioned earlier with Tajee was that what I wanted to say was that in a box, when it comes down to Black America, you can say, okay, well, Black America's looking for a church suit and just a lady, so to speak, for the sportswear competition. But I brought those examples to say that there has historically, since the early 90s, there have been people who were vanguards of the category that still brought the category based off of that same description. But they were courageous enough to step out, and say, okay, I'm going to bring every element of this description. Now get it, so to speak. Let me go back. I was mentioning to Rand when you guys went to lunch. What I really want to make sure that you guys understand as far as when it comes down to me, whereas I may own and operate the pageant itself, I don't own the legacy. So every category that Black America has that you read upon today is a legacy that I cannot change. When this pageant was given to me or handed over to me, those were some of those restraints that were placed upon me that I cannot change it. So when people say, how do you move the pageant forward to move the category forward, I realize that I put that back to the contestants. The contestants are responsible to move it forward. So that's why you see the diversity in what some people are courageous enough to place on the stage, and some people who say, you know what, I'm just going to stick to what I know and what the system traditionally brings. And to me, that brings a different level of excitement, because you have some of the old and you have some of the new. Give you some of the consequences of being a vanguard. After some of those years where people have pushed the envelope, people who are fans and lovers of Black America attacked me and said that I was going too far, that I'm screwing up the legacy. This is what we are about here. You can't do what they're doing over there. If we wanted that, then I would have went there. So anyway, so briefing the judges know that like I said, we spend hours. Everything that you guys debated here, we spend hours debating year after year after year. So that's what we do as far as prepping them. When I first started this as the leader, I used to say these words. When people would say, "What are you guys looking for?" That's a good question, right? What are you looking for, right? And I used to say this to winner. And people didn't understand. I said it for years. People didn't understand. I said, well, as long as I'm looking for the person that has one more point, than everybody else, the one that had the most points. Because I went into this thinking that everybody can be it. That everybody, given the right opportunity, given the right chance, everybody can be it. Well, I want to be very clear to say everybody can't be a representative. Everybody can't be, everybody can win a pageant, yes, but everybody can't be the representative. People don't know how. People aren't ready to submit. So when you're not ready to submit and submit to being a servant, then you're not ready. And that's just bottom line. You're not ready. And so it took me 10 years now to really come to this thing in my head that everybody cannot be Mr. and Miss Black America. Because everybody that has come under me wasn't ready at that time to be a servant. They didn't know what it meant to be a servant. So what I didn't realize at the time, when I was being a vanguard, by asking people to commit to your community and do something for them. And people say, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Come to the pageant with a platform. Whatever it is that you want to do for the community, you have the full weight of our platform, you have the full weight of our bank. Whatever it is that you want to do for your community. I could care less about you doing national walks. I could care less about you going to Continental to be on display. If you really wanted to impress me, and if you really want a stamp of an approval, do something for somebody else. And because to me, if you spend your entire reign, this is what I tell the judges, if you spend your entire reign and you've done nothing for nobody, then to me you have failed. You are not sickening because you're at every pageant walking with a pen and a sash. That does not make you sickening. If I give you a 700 turnaround trip where you can go and perform, make money, I book your hotel, and book your flight, you can't give a thank you card to the people for inviting you. You can't put up a table, a display to say, hey, I'm Miss Renaissance, and this is who we are, and this is what I'm about. What was your job? What did you actually go to do? And what did you leave with? You left with people saying to you and texting and Facebooking you that you were sick.
That's true.
What is it so what is the job? You know? If you're not giving back some kind of way, and a lot of people, like I said, everybody is not built this way. Everybody's not built this way. It took me 10 years, almost 10, 11, 12 years, I don't know how long, but it took me this long to understand that everybody can't be it. So when you get the opportunity, and if you're not ready, the best thing for you to do is to submit yourself to people who are able to impart this into you. So if DeAndre or Randall or Stephen, if a leader of that system say to you, hey, this is what I really want you to focus on. It is not controlling you. It's leading you, because that's what we are. It's not controlling. It's leading you into a different way of doing things. And it's very inexpensive. Okay? Because a lot of people say, okay, well, I spent all this money to do this pageant, and they ain't got no work for me. They ain't got nothing, what's my return? Well, I submit to you that I did a $700 turnaround for you to go and be sick. I'll give you $200 to go down there to the meat stove, get some hamburgers and some hot dogs, and go feed this youth home. So again, that's not sickening to me. That's what we have to, when we talk about moving forward, we don't want to move categories forward. when Les and when Randall set forth their pageants, they sat down and came up with the ideas that they wanted to see. You get what I'm saying? It's not our place as contestants to say, oh, well, you don't need that. It's not your vision. It's not your vision. It's not a judge's vision. It's not a judge's vision to be, or it's not your place. It's not a judge's place. Not trying to tell the judges this too. No, I'm still the judge's briefing. So I want y'all to understand. I want y'all to understand what goes into a judge's briefing. Especially when I have a new judge, because they need to get it and understand it. You get what I'm saying? It's not your place to question these things. If you're coming in to serve and be a servant, you know what I'm saying? You're going to submit yourself to the vision and the visionaries. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not ready to do that, we'll see you when you are ready. It's a pageant every week. Okay? And there are 3, 4 pageants that are perfect for you. And we're going to support you over there. And when you're ready, then you come here, you come there, you come there. Everybody, you can't approach judges, you can't approach every contestant as if you would approach them running for university. You get what I'm saying? So if they were a former university, they weren't successful, or had troubles, or whatever the case may be, that's dead in the water. Because what you want to get from them not being successful, I'm telling the judges, what you want to get from them not being successful is what did they actually learn? What did they actually learn? That's what's important. So when you have these eclectic groups of judges, and they're coming from the fashion world, the hairstylist world, the drag world, the education world, everybody has their idea of what Mr. and Miss Black America should look like, you know, what they physically, what Mr. and Miss Black America should look like, what she or he should sound like, the way that they should be viewed by their peers. So it comes in many different areas. And so what I try to do is make sure that my job is to be the caretaker of the legacy, and to make sure that each one of those people who are not only judging but are working for the system understand what they have embarked themselves upon. You are making a decision that's going to last beyond us. When I think about the number of owners that Black America have had that are living in as well as deceased, it becomes honor. So as a judge, you know, I try to make sure that before you sit down, do you understand, you get what I'm talking about as far as this legacy and how much of an honor it is. So you don't have the right to make personal selections. And when it comes to a point where I feel that people are making personal selections, that's when leadership is needed to make changes. You know, and maybe sometimes judges, like they had the question, you know, do y'all believe the judges should remain? You know, my answer was no, because I think that, you know, when it gets to a point where judges are making personal decisions, you need to react to that. Maybe the person don't speak to them up until the time the pageant comes around. That's when they call my phone. But they don't speak to me, you know, when I see them at another function. And that bears a weight. Or if a judge themselves don't uphold the crown themselves. If a judge is out there fighting and sparring and, you know, how can you tell your king and queen that that's not being a symbol of excellence and you're doing it? So there are many different things that go into these conversations. But at the end of the day, I think that first of all, we spend way too much and sacrifice way too much to pull a pageant. I don't think nobody has the time during their weekend to worry about what the score is and all like that. Judges, especially at Black America, they don't even have the time to, they barely have time to write category descriptions, because at that point in time, myself and Sean, we're running the business, and the business is to keep this new pageant moving and hit our time out day. I mean, our out time. So no one has the time to be thinking about that. So I say this to you that don't ever do a pageant that, and I'm saying this on camera, don't do a pageant that you feel that the judges are unfair. Just don't do it. There are so many other options out here, and I'm loving it. I love the idea that there are so many options because it reduces the crowd. Now people don't feel like, well, I'm just gonna suck it up because that's just what I want to be. There's so many other things you can be. There's so many other things that you can be.
I just want to, just something came. For the people who run the pageants, like you were saying, it's not being unfair. The problem I have with all y'all people who come, well, most of them, well, some of the contestants, some of y'all who win pageants, I have a problem after the pageant, y'all say, oh, they rigged, they was stunning, whatever. But I've never heard none of y'all say, and I'm not saying that y'all have said, I've never heard a contestant who won say, that was rigged. It's only the pageant's rigged that you lose. Isn't that funny? That's just
Well, I'm actually going to give you this information. Xavier Cole out of D.C. Just to kind of give you an example. When Xavier Cole won Mr. Black America, very rarely does a winner call you for critiques and scores and things like that. By the time we finished giving him his critiques and his thing, Xavier wanted to give the pageant back. He wanted to give the crown back because he said he didn't feel like, he said with the critiques that he had gotten, he don't feel like he won the pageant. You know, but again, it's about who has the most points at the end of the day. But he felt that he could have done so much more. So you're right. Not very many people, look at it that way.
Oh, but I'm sorry, since you said that. And just because somebody win the pageant, don't mean they didn't have flaws. It just means they may have less than yours. And something else, so when you judge, sometimes people say, did you see? And all y'all have judged pageants. Sometimes, as a judge, sometimes people say, did you see that? But the second, we're distracted, people yelling your name, the minute you might look away and look, you might have missed a feather hat for fair. So it doesn't mean you're a stern judge, it means you didn't see the feather. So sometimes I explain it to, as judges, we're human. Y'all yelling our names, we're being distracted people. So sometimes as judges, we are distracted too. So sometimes we don't see stuff that we should have seen because we were distracted. So.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
I actually have a two-part question. My first question is for judges. In my pageant career, what I've been most concerned about is not giving direct and honest feedback. I really need to grow in my career an expectation, and I can't meet that expectation if I don't know what it is. And so often I've gotten back score sheets that have maybe the top score was 20, and I got a 15, but there's no notes. I got an 18, but there's no notes. And so that does me a disservice as a contestant, because if I'm your first runner-up, and obviously I should be the first person you contact to run again next year, then what's my motivation when I'm not clear as to where I went wrong in that process?
Again, preparation and your choice of system.
Yeah.
If that's a concern of yours, then that's a question you ask in your prep. And when you're making a decision to run, there are many systems that you don't get feedback from. You're only going to get a master score sheet and the numbers. And maybe possibly if you're in the circuit, you may run into a judge and the judge is going to tell you whatever it is they want you to hear, without any concrete. In regards to me, I don't have a problem giving a score sheet out. The problem what I have is that we're living in a what?
Social media.
Thank you. So that score sheet I'm going to give you is going to be, I'm giving it to you, and you turn it into, So it's really, as owners, We don't have a problem with it, but it's what it could turn into, you know. But what we do, and maybe in other owners, you guys can, I don't know what you guys do, but what we do after every competition, you do have an opportunity to sit and talk with a pageant official about, and they will go through every score sheet and give you every critique that's written on there from every judge. I mean, that was my workaround.
Okay. The second part of my question was, you were speaking earlier about basically whether or not the winner is successful throughout their reign. And so my question was, for Black America or Westland, I know you're here in Renaissance, do you have an exit interview process so that your winner is aware of how they have left their legacy, and if at all they have increased the legacy of that particular system?
Right, good question. And actually, I'm going to transition into the next part, which is the reigns. And I'll just start with answering your question. And an official exit interview, no. But what I tell, and what I tell my people is that the people will let you know if you were successful. If you ever, and it has never failed, if you ever go to a national pageant and the line is short, when they give up, it's a reflection of what the impact you made to the community. If the audience is short, it's not the system. It's because you as a leader, as a representative, it's your job every day since you win. From the moment you win, and I'm going to get into all that, but from the moment you win, it's your job to say, hey, how you doing? I'm such and such, and our national pageant is here. I would love to see you. What's your Facebook? And you stay in touch with people, and you make sure that they come and support. You get what I'm saying? So if the crowd is short, and if the line is short when you're giving up your pageant, that means that you haven't impacted. You didn't make an impact that you could have done, you know, as a resident. I think over the past year, 2 years, many of you who are on the circuit have seen my participation and my attendance at a decline. Whereas before, you said pageant, I was there. It didn't matter what state, it didn't matter what city, it didn't matter. I was just that big of a fan. And when you saw me, you saw the brand. You saw the brand Black America. And I never went alone. I was always calling groups of people, hey, come on, we going here. And that's what we did. But I made a decision. I'm tired. I'm old. I'm sick. I'm just fed up. And I'm no longer going to reign. Because, see, to me, that's part of the reign. Before you win a pageant, don't you go to them? Before you win a pageant, don't you get yourself there? Before you win a pageant, don't you support other outside activities? Well, why is it when you win, everything becomes my responsibility? I reign. Y'all really see me out there, right? Y'all saw. I support it. I reign. It's your turn to reign. And so, what I tell, as moving forward, if you are not prepared to do what you need to do to promote yourself and this brand, then you will sit. Now, here's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem paying half your ticket. I ain't paying it all. We'll never send you somewhere and you don't have nowhere to stay. But you're going to make your own reservations. You're going to do the things that you need to do, you know, to be able to make your reign successful. Why do I have to call, or why does the promoter have to call? Okay, well, what pageant is you going to? Will you? I mean, what are we doing? No. It's the responsibility of you as a national representative to submit a calendar to the national office. Okay? You should, and if you haven't ever done this before, please write that down. You should submit a calendar to the national office so that we know where you're going, what you're representing, and so that we can, because you never know. If you're going to Indianapolis, you don't even know what contacts we have in Indianapolis. And what a travesty it would be for you to be Miss Black America, go to Indianapolis and don't give Terry Livingston mother a call. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? So we should know what you're doing as a employee. We should know what your calendar looks like, so that not only that we can support you, but if you haphazardly just say, "Oh well, I was waiting on you," am I going to come home? Am I going to USA? Well, and see, we got to this stage. 5 years ago, I used to say, "We in the what's my confirmation?" But what's my confirmation? They got no confirmation, What's my confirmation? You know, we've gotten there, you know, and thank God for niggas. You know what I mean? Because now we don't have an excuse, you know. But as far as when you win that pageant, you come in with a freshness and a renewedness. The system views you the same way. We want a fresh and renewedness from you. So we want your ideas. We want all of that information. But here's the thing, guys, ladies. If you win the pageant and you show up at the contract signing, and you show up at the first conference call, the second conference call, the third conference call, and you have nothing, you bring nothing, then it becomes our responsibility to delegate it to you. It's not a controlling factor. We have got to come to the understanding that you don't have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, we have to do what we have to do to move the brand. Does that make sense? So you've got to have a calendar. If you're Miss Renaissance Plus and I don't know what you're doing in August, are you going to EOI? Are you, where you staying? I want to make sure you're comfortable. It's not just so that you can go to walk. Well, you know what? This is what I want to do, because I know that EOI is kind of connected to Pride, and let's try to figure out a way that we can get you booked. Not for EOI, but maybe something for Pride. Or you can maybe you can ride the Pride Parade and represent Miss Renaissance. It's so much more, is what I'm trying to say. It's so much more that you can do with your reign. It's so much more you can do with your title. Sean and I, we become, well, I'm a very big fan of England royalty. Everything that ever comes on TV, I'm just fascinated by English royalty. And so a lot of my principles and a lot of my ideas derive from that. So when I think about Queen Elizabeth, or the Prince and the Princess, was not, maybe that, but they're moving into the Facebook age too. But the social media age as well. But when you think about them, what do you, Randall, what is the job of Queen Elizabeth?
To run the state, the country.
To be a
Servant.
servant.
She's a servant.
So what does she get paid to do? She gets paid to serve. The prince gets paid to serve. They actually go around the world serving. That's their job. And that's the king and queen.
Mm-hmm.
That's royalty. And that's where my principles come from. It says, okay, well, is it really my job? And this is what I tell you, I spent over $100,000. Flying people, hoteling people, sending people for years. And I'm thinking about, but what did we gain? What do you gain from it? And who benefits from that? Just going in 3 minutes, 2 minutes. It ain't even 3 minutes on the runway, is it? Like 30 seconds. But you just spent all this money and time. You had to get your outfit made. You had to get your outfit to go to the pageant. You had to get your outfit to walk. You had to get all of that time and energy and money. And I'm saying to you guys, that is not being a king and a queen. That is not representing your system. We, as a group, we have to change the direction. In order, people always say the old school. I told Randall this the other day. I ain't with that. Because the old school, as we found out earlier from Kurt, the old school stole, ran out of stores, wrote checks. So why are we spending our time talking about what they used to do? What legacy are we leaving for the next generation to say? Because you do know that when newcomers say old school, they're talking about you.
Okay.
You old school. So what was your legacy? Walking. Because think about what they do. See, they're following what they do, right? So what the legacy that we have left, and I take responsibility. Because guess what? Pages wasn't promoting on Facebook until we jumped from MySpace. So I take responsibility for it. But I also want to take the responsibility to change it and to move it forward and to say, as I admitted to Randall, I had it wrong. I had it wrong. So how do we change it? We got to redefine those reigns and what those reigns are truly about. I'm going to tell you one way I take responsibility for it. Are there really 30 national African American titles? Not that many stood on the stage at Black America this year. Not that many. Not that many. So I take responsibility for validating this crap. That's foolishness. I take responsibility for it. Yeah. Okay. So that's where we have to. There has to be a certain. So, because I got to the point, I'm being very honest. I wish you wouldn't videotape this. I to the point now when people say, when they say, "Oh, we national," because I say to myself, if you national, we don't even. We not. We no longer national. Take us out of the number. Take us out of the number. Because if all of y'all national, we got to be something else. What's the something else? Because, and I say this with love, because my former budget is bigger than your entire pageant. What I pay out to my will run 3 pageants. So I got to be something else. All right. Now, when people were telling me back in the day, oh, well, we don't do this walk, we don't let these people walk, oh, well, they this and that. My thing was just be inclusive. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? It's not going to hurt us to let these people stand on stage and decree who they are. They have accomplished something. But guess what? It has hurt us. It has hurt us. So we got to fix it. We got to fix it with you guys, with your reigns. We have to show what's the legacy, because now remember, I just told you, you're old school. I don't know what we are. But we're now old school because the newcomers that are coming out,
Week left.
the newcomers that are now coming out, when you go to a pageant, how many people you see walking around with a pen? Half the crowd, right? With a sash, half the crowd, right?
T-shirt and a tank top.
So that's these. Say that again.
What I just said.
Put your pen on a what?
T-shirt and a tank top. It's recipe in the back saying that's nasty.
So as a leader, Damani, I'm gonna ask you this, put you on the spot. As a leader, do you correct them?
I do. You know I do.
I know sheets.
Yeah. So we got to look at the legacy that we have left these individuals. That we're working and we're living. If you're still competing, you're working and living in the legacy that you're going to leave. Okay. So how do you fix it? You fix it not with your next crown. You don't fix it with your next accomplishment. You fix it right now. So when you leave this workshop today, this in itself is an accomplishment.
That's true.
You follow what I'm saying? And you don't need a whole lot of people to do a whole lot of things. In fact, the more people you have, the less you get done.
Yes, you do.
So take responsibility for whatever title you are resting in, or the title that you are achieving or wishing to achieve next. And know that if you're not going to capture that crown with the mindset, if I win, I will fill in the blank. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you still gotta win. I mean, you gotta get your sports win. You gotta get your uniform win. You still gotta win the actual competition. But what we want to concentrate on is what do you do after you win and you become successful, and now you're representing this brand. it is so. I called Clarence in regards to your pageant, Stephen. I called Clarence, and the other day when I saw
Salon.
Miss Weston, when I saw her,
Salon.
she was at the serving, what is it? Someone Cares and volunteering. And she posted that, and I said, I just at the opposite, in the middle of something, I don't know. But I said, Clarence, I just want to take 2 minutes, and I just want to say, it makes me feel so good. Because then when I saw Tarico do the thing at the State Six in the city, and then you guys had a workshop planned. There's a workshop next week. It makes me feel good because see, when I was doing all that stuff and thinking about all that stuff, everybody, that's just too much. Years ago, people were saying to me, that's just too much. I ain't going through all that to be I'm just trying to win the pageant. But I'm saying to everybody is that, but that's where we gotta go. That's where we gotta go. You guys were saying about the histories, about what you bring to the pageant, and if you have the criminal background or if you're prostitutes and things of that nature. Well, I'm gonna say this in love. There are pageants out there for you. There are pageants out there for you. And I respect you. I respect you and I love you, but it's not your chosen craft or your chosen profession. Now see, I don't have a factor on who wins because I don't judge. But so I have to deal with what I'm getting. You get what I'm saying? But I would love one day to have a complete court that I can go to Revlon and they be able to want and support me the way that they have committed to want to support me without them having to run a background check. And the people who, because when you're trying to get corporate sponsorships, they're not just running my background. If these people are my representatives of the brand, they got to know about these people too. But I do understand that if I start running backgrounds and registration, that I get it, and I understand it. So you have to find a workaround. But to know that you have major sponsors who want to help, who want to support, who want to finance, who want to give, but you can't. So what do you say, Benny? Well, I told my court this year, let the people read, let them read down. Mr. Black America, all I need from you are 6 contestants who do you feel are ready to carry this sash and take it to the next level. Because one of the things that the Divine Witness, I can tell you is that when we show up at anything we go to, everything is already paid for. Why are we stressing about contestants? Find me 6 people who you feel can carry this crown and take us to the next level. That's it. We got to get out of the number game and we got to get into the real game. As we saw today, there are some young people. There are people in this, and all of our cities, our various cities, I'm not sure if everybody's from Atlanta, but there are people who really need our help. They really need our help. And why not use our platform, our associations, our networking capabilities? It's not one person in here, I think, will just turn somebody away who's hungry. You know, but why are we doing anything? And that's what my heart has led me as an owner and a CEO and as a fan of drag, is that I feel in the past 2-3 years, and I told Randy so that I just gonna be honest, I'll be honest with everybody now, that's where I feel I have let the community down. That's why I feel that I have let Black America down, because I fell into becoming a pageant. I fell into the trap. I fell into the hole of becoming a pageant. And I built it around we're more than a pageant. I began to listen to the negative things that, don't worry about them. I need to worry about everybody who has a really good heart and want to be a part. Okay? Yes, sir.
I've been asked this question before, since you brought it up. In your definition, and also Curtis Randall, what makes a system national?
Can I be very honest?
Yes, I know.
From
I want to know.
my perspective, don't even call my phone until after 5 years. Because I think that what you have to do is that you have to go through trial and error. It takes you about it took me about 5 years before I got into the groove of really, owning and being at the senior leadership of Black America. So I think it takes, until you get, it's trial and error. So until you get it all set up where you financially can support the endeavor, when you say what makes it national, when you can financially support the endeavor, when you can have a body of formers, because if you have the 5 years, you have 10 formers if you have a district mix. If you have add another division, you got 15, and another division, you got 20. So you have a body of people and a body of people who can impart back into the system, because no one person can grow it to that level. Let's see. Like I said, financially, when you can
5 years financially.
when you can do that, Brandon, if you can go to Oklahoma, and the person from Oklahoma can respect your queen, if you can go to DC, and make a phone call and get supported as a system. I'm talking about the system, because I think that as a promoter, in the very beginning, it's all that legwork is on the promoter. I'm sorry.
I agree with him, but this is just being silly. But to me, longevity, financial, and you don't have your pageant, and you don't have to have a pageant for 20 years, but it's how you carry yourself, how people respect you as the individual. To me, what I look at, they got a national. If you paying your people on time, you ain't got no trouble with your money. Your pageant is the same time, same time every year. And then what I consider blackness, the pageant is just Black America, Black Universe. And why I came to this conclusion years ago, no disrespect to the male entertainers, but the male entertainers, Black America and Black Universe, can go anywhere. And it's hard for male entertainers people to receive them. Whether they like them or not, they make good money on tips. And so that tells me that no matter whether they respect these two systems, so they respect who they were, the accomplishments that they make, and that's why I basically but you can have some say they national and they king up there, and then they get $2 because they don't have no respect. And you and Black Universe and Black America, whether you say stunning or whatever, they have built the respect of the community. And whether they agree with the outcome of the pageant or who win, when they on their bookings, they respect the entertainer, whether male or female, for being who they were or who they have accomplished to be. So that's what I just say them to. I'm no disrespect to nobody.
So there's no committee. There's no committee that says.
And one other thing that we haven't touched on is that they're legal.
Yes.
I think they got to be corporate. You've got to have a business. And you just can't have a business by pulling it out the air. You've got to be, in order to really be considered national, you need to be registered. You need to have an owner, a corporation, an LLC, a C Corp, or S Corp. You need to be funded. So that's going to be very, very key for you to understand. I mean, you've got to have a legitimate business, because IBM, Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, they are funded. And Miss America, Miss USA, whoever you want to look at, those people are funded. So that's what makes a national pageant. So we just draw a straw in the hat, and I think that's what happens, is because we do things so haphazardly in our community that we don't give it the same credence or the same respect. But when we put it in layman's terms, it has to be the same.
And I think what the issue has been is that, just like in the ballroom scene, I'm a $1,000 winner. Mm-hmm. So now the pageant says I'm a $1,000 pageant. So I deserve to have the same respect. And that's not logical. I mean, you can give away $10,000, and that's just not logical. It's about the respect. Like you said, and like last year, if you can call Kaiser and Kaiser on a drop of a dime and send you $3,000, then okay. you've gotten some legitimacy, Budweiser or Coors or whoever, you know, if you can get that type of respect. But I do, like I said, I encourage the new systems that are coming up to stay small. It's just like what you tell children, baby, enjoy your childhood. Because when you want to get grown, you're going to have grown folks' problems. You're going to have grown folks' criticism, critiques, and just like a newcomer, most newcomer systems aren't ready for that. You have to be. you have to be ready. When you say you're national, true national, you have to be ready. Yes.
Since you kind of said critique and criticism, I'm gonna kind of go on that path. So to me, just listening, it seems like the word national is an attempt to separate yourself from the race. Because when I think national, I mean that just like you said, I can go to Oklahoma and say I'm Mr. Such and such, and then name ring bells. Oh, I know this person, this person, this person. But I don't see that. I don't see a lot of national pageantry systems sending people out of Georgia. It's like it's a Georgia, it's here, and that's not national. That's local. You know, the word national by definition is all over the nation. So if a system's gonna call themselves national, then my expectation as a winner, as your king, is to be sent somewhere. And for me to, even if I got to make that happen, I don't just like you said earlier, some things we have to do on our own as kings and queens. So if I come to you and say, here, Puerto Rico is having a pageant next month, and I want to be there because this is a national pageant. Right, exactly. So see me.
Let's make that happen.
Right.
Let's make that happen.
Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen. So
The operative word in that sentence is let's.
But you said two different things. You said send me and help me get there.
Right.
Those stand on two different options.
Right, that's why I said
sending me and helping me get there are
Two different things.
Because send me means just pay for it.
Right.
And help me get there means assist me with my brain,
Exactly.
not brain for me.
Right.
Right.
But I think the word, like you said, national, because I want to kind of stay right there. Like I said, you get to a point when because I'm holding a legacy. You can't be disrespectful to people who, because they money, the newcomer promoters and stuff, they might just as great as my money gonna be. You follow what I'm saying? But I think it's important for us as leaders. I don't know if any of you saw the Facebook status I put on Sunday. The pastor talked to us about Numbers 11 and 14 through 17, and I said that, and just to kind of paraphrase, it gets to a point where we can't bear all the weight by ourselves. We can't bear it alone. So at some point, you got to go out to the leaders and say, hold a workshop. Everything was so congruent, y'all. Hold a workshop and sit down with your leaders. And God said that then I will come unto them and I will talk with them so that they will get on the same playing field, have the same vision, so that you will no longer have to bear all of the weight. Expect that a system is going to support you financially for your entire reign. That's just not logical. What I would suggest that you do is not get that other suit made to do that walk. That's what I would suggest that you do. And you have a nice tuxedo that you wear to every walk that you go to. So that's more logical, because at that point you're asking the system to invest in you as you invest in them. So it's a shared responsibility. Everybody is shouldering the weight of progressing the pageant, progressing the system, and becoming national. But I have to say that we really just need to get away with that. Do away with that word. Just do away with it. Don't even worry about, if you're reigning for whatever pageant that you are in, don't worry about that status. You make it, if you feel national, then maybe you're national.
What you were saying about I agree with the tuxedos in the walk, but I think as contestants, they get ridiculed for wearing the same thing. So then they feel that they have to, you know, so it has to be a meet with the owners of pageants to say, now look, if we're gonna, you know, together, if we're gonna allow, if they're gonna be doing this, then we can expect them to do this. Because they're not gonna, if they wear a tuxedo saying, everybody read, well, you want that? Well, look, either you want to the volunteer for the $200 for the hamburger and the hot dog. I'm not a contestant, but I'm not going to be able to do both.
Right, exactly.
So as owners, I think, so sometimes playing devil advocate for the contestants, sometimes they want to do stuff, but they're so caught up on their look because the owners are telling them, you have to wear this color, you have to wear this color, instead of saying, I just want you to look nice. You know, just, yeah, I want you to look nice. But y'all on these color schemes and all that's stupid.
What is the color come? Sean, tell me, how many walks do I say first?
No, I'm not saying,
I'm just asking, I'm going to make a point in the contract.
Say that again. Say that again. What was the question?
Did I have what happened? 5 or 6, right?
Hold on.
There are 5 or 6 pages.
Hold on, I'm reading the contract in my head. It's 6.
6, okay. So the point I'm making is that we just did a pageant schedule to the end of the year. There are about 42 pageants between whenever we had our meeting 2 days ago and the end of the year. That's currently on the calendars and schedule, excluding MMI, you know, pageants. You know what I'm saying? Excluding. So it's about 40, 42, 43 pageants, right? So as an owner and as CEOs and as directors of your pageants, you have to look at that, you have to know that calendar. And you have to get that calendar, and like you said, Kurt, to be fair to your winners, you have to say, here are the areas on this calendar that we, it's business. Can I be real? It's just business. Here's where our contestant pool lies. Here are the areas that I want you to make sure that you are here and that you are working. Because these are the areas where you're going to do your recruiting duties. You're going to be more specific. Do I want my king and queen at every pageant? No. It's 6 out of probably 60 a year. So you make the plan. You get what I'm saying? So again, it goes back to you as an entertainer to be smart about it and thinking about it. Because we always say, oh, it's a business, but what makes it a business to you? Who signs up for a business to operate at a loss?
Right.
Contestants, from what I hear on Facebook, contestants say that they operate at a loss. So why are you putting yourself through that? It's got to be for something what? For what? For what? Like I said, I was talking to Aja the other day. I can never give Aja a check that will equal what she has given us. Does that make sense? But I can help. This is what I can do to help. And that's what I'm trying to say. Take that mentality into your reins. It's nothing that we cannot support, all right? It's illogical for anybody to think that. Okay? We can help. Yeah, we can help. Sure, we can help. But you got to be fair. You can't go everywhere. Can't go everywhere. But what's going to make the bigger impact that's going to move your agenda, whatever your platform or your program or whatever the agenda of the system is, what's going to move the agenda forward? You know, and then you make decisions better together. And then you set the expectations. And then if you do that, then you can't have an unsuccessful reign. Because you've done everything that you guys have mapped out to do. How can you have an unsuccessful reign? You know, unless you choose to. You choose to. This is a working knowledge. I want everybody to know. What I'm saying to you is a working knowledge. This is over years. So if you've just started and you're new and you're moving along, this is over years. It's going to be trial and error. It's going to be trial. Some things going to work, some things not going to work. Something, you know, but at the end of the day, the brand belongs to you. The brand represents you, and no, nothing happens outside of your vision. That's it. There are going to be people who are going to support the vision, And there are going to be people who are going to fall by the wayside of the vision. You know what I'm saying? But what stands is what you said in the midnight hour and created. And in my case, it's what I've been charged with. I'm just a caretaker. I ain't creep. Not how did you all knew what I inherited. I'm just a caretaker. Trying not to let it fall apart.
Oh, it's going to be great.